welcome to Our Time.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you. Do you think I'm too old to retire?
Malcolm, no, you're... No, just...
It should be too young to retire, isn't it?
No, you can't. But you can retire whenever you like, can't you?
Well, we've got a gentleman on the show today who can explain a lot more about that.
It's more about actually being made redundant, which is sort of, you know...
Well, you can keep telling everyone, I'm retiring, when you've just gone,
yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for the package.
Yes, thanks. You better go.
I will. I'll
find out more. Tell me more. I'll be listening.
Okay, see you.
It's always a hard decision, isn't it? Particularly if you've actually been shifted sideways. So we're going to explain a little bit more about that. Janice?
Now, this is a word we hear more and more, redundancy. What does it mean? John Grocke has kindly joined us to shine some light on this subject. Thanks for coming in, John. It is a word. What does it mean? What does redundancy mean? It's a word that we probably have only recently started to hear.
It's a word that's developed over time, and it simply means that the position that someone has in the workplace is no longer required.
So they had just moved them along, or it's like, you're sorry, but this job is no longer, you have to go. Is that what it means exactly?
It actually means that the position is no longer there, and that then has a couple of consequences. It leads to either a person receiving a package,
yes,
because they are made redundant, or it leads to someone accepting an offer to be retrained in a position
in the company?
Somewhere else in the company.
Okay. Now, so if somebody does accept a package, do they always get a package if they've moved on? If they don't want to take that other position, say in the back corner somewhere, do they always get a package?
A package is generally offered where people have a certain length of service. So, for instance, if someone had been there very short term, a package is unlikely, except for perhaps a little bit of accrued leave. But the longer the person's service, the more substantial that package will be.
Oh, okay. And does it, you sort of think, well, is this somebody that is older? Does it happen to younger people, or is it more something that happens when they have been in a job for a long time and things change?
It seems and appears to relate to an older age demographic. Yeah. I'm not sure that that's fact, but it does appear to relate to an older age demographic.
And then are those people that then take a package, are they eligible for benefits at all?
They can be. In simple terms, if they have leave payment, they'll need to serve that out before they might get some benefits for New Start, for instance, from Centrelink.
Yeah.
Or if they've got a certain amount of money that they've got sitting in reserve, cash in the bank, that may impact on when they could actually access benefits as well.
Right. So, and what about super then? Does that also include the super?
The superannuation is actually exempt, so that just sits on the side.
Yep.
And in some cases, part of a package can be rolled over into someone's superannuation, so that's not counted. That would be set aside.
Oh, right. And do you find that people that then have been made redundant would move on to another job if they do take a package? Then do you think they sort of think, well, I don't want to go back into that corner and do less than I'm able. I will actually take the package and I'll look for something else. How hard would that be?
Janice, it's a very interesting question, because often people are given the choice to be retrained. In my experience, just observing that opportunity for people, it's not an easy thing to do, and often people end up in a place where they don't have the work incentive, and they don't have the interest in what's going on. So often people will opt for the package, and the package is an interesting thing in this sense that often it can be equivalent to a couple of years' salary. So,
if it were to be offered
to someone who was close to change of lifestyle, retirement, whatever we want to call it, they might actually say this is a great opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much. I will. Thank you. In fact, you having said that, I was recently in Perth and just happened to pull in somewhere, and there was one of those motorhomes. I don't think it was a Winnebago, but something like that, right? So he's pulled up with his wife in this, and of course my husband's gone over. Oh, look at this. This is great. And he said, I was made redundant. I've taken the package. He said, I wish it had happened 20 years ago. You know, so he's living the life. But that's not what would happen, obviously, to a lot of people.
No, it wouldn't happen to everyone. But it's interesting you mention that, because some of the psychological aspects are that people become glued to their work, and it would give someone the freedom to actually make a decision that they might not otherwise make themselves. So look, there can be good and bad outcomes in this, and sometimes it can actually be a release or freedom for someone.
Life-changing. Off I go.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
But as you say, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time.
No.
People are left high and dry,
and it can leave the workplace short of expertise and intellectual capability.
Of course.
That suddenly isn't easily replaced.
No, because there are young people that are coming in to those different careers, but they don't have that wealth of knowledge and experience in that position. And why? So you think, why do they do that? Why do they want to get rid of these people?
It probably comes down to economics at the end of the day, and a business will go through a restructure because there's an economic outcome for the business. But one would argue, perhaps, with the age demographic we're talking about, that today it's not necessarily about stopping work entirely, but it might be about a change work-life balance where you might actually decide to access part of your income from super, for instance, and actually work part-time. And I think employers in some way should be encouraged down this path a little more, because there's a component there that could meet everybody's
objective. Still be beneficial, yes, and then still have that little time off to take off on holiday.
And adjust to a changing lifestyle.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Perhaps.
No, that's right. Just so it's all about to come around. I mean, at our age, it's sort of something you think about more and more, the fact that you have got this in front of you. But interestingly, we had someone on the program from Dome talking about don't forget people, the mature age people wanting employment. So if you do decide then to change, if you have been made redundant and you do want to be trained, the opportunities are there, aren't they?
They are, and there would be many businesses who would love to take that expertise on in some part-time capacity. So people should be aware that there are probably opportunities, albeit in a slightly different way, to actually engage their skills and knowledge.
So I wonder, do you have to retire after being made redundant? Well, we've just covered that. You don't have to retire as such, do you? You can still move on and do other things. It's not the end of the world. No. There are still opportunities out there. So people don't have to feel like, well, that's it. Doom and gloom.
No, exactly. I think there's as the saying goes, one door closes, another one opens. And I think it's very much about people's preparedness to look forward rather than back. And it's a very difficult thing to leave a career, in many cases, that people might have been doing for 25, 30 or more years, and where they've made a significant contribution in their work environment, to suddenly find that that's all behind them. So
they're not needed in that position anymore.
That's right. And by nature we're social creatures, because we need to interact with people at work and have the opportunity to meet and greet on a day-to-day basis. So it's very much part of our psyche.
A huge blow, though, to the confidence too, I would think, to be suddenly, well, I'm sorry, but we'd like to give you a package. You're going, what happened there?
It's an interesting, the question you raised there is an interesting one, because generally the packages will be offered to a group of people that might fit within the parameters of a position going, so they don't always come to just an individual. So in other words, it will be Let's say there are 5 people working in a particular area. They may say that there are 2 positions that need to be redundant, and therefore first they will allow volunteers to put their hand up.
And say, well, yes, okay, well, I will sit in that corner. I'm not ready to move out completely yet. I'll just see what this is like. Can they do that? Can you actually trial it? Is it like, well, I'll do this for a little while and see, and then decide if I'm...
If the opportunity's provided in terms of a package or retraining or deployment, as it's sometimes called, generally it's not a choice. Once you've made that decision, you're either on the left-hand path or the right-hand path.
Okay. Well, I don't know if there's any joy in that conversation, really. I hope we have sort of shown...
I'm not trying to make it a gloomy subject, but I think the thing that I would encourage people to do is, if they feel that there are benefits that they need to source, Centrelink have financial specialists.
Right, so they're like counsellors that you can go and speak to.
And you can make an appointment with them, and they'll go through, in your interest, the things
individual case,
correct,
what you need,
and also seek advice, because sometimes people are receiving considerable amounts of money that, if used and deployed correctly, can actually improve their financial position over the next 5 years.
Oh, there you go. See, it's not all doom and gloom. No. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. John, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, Janice.